Well, good evening. I'm Tim Burt from timburtmedia.com, and welcome to episode number 3, or webinar number 3, of Improving Your Commercials, Stop Wasting Money with Ineffective Advertising. And in the first 2 episodes, which I hope you've watched, and if you haven't, we're going to kind of briefly cover those topics again. In the first episode, I gave you the kind of the overview of what we're doing, and the second episode I gave you the magic formula which every commercial must have, and also my, well, not yet patented but soon to be patented, my famous circle of win and my circle of fail. So go back and watch those if you haven't already, and because you're going to learn quite a bit. Something hit me today and I've actually known this for a long time, but I wanted to vocalize it here for you on the webinar. The most important part of advertising is the commercial. And what do I mean by that? It seems like a very general, vague, broad, overarching statement, and it kind of is, but I want to boil it down for you like this. If you are in sales, if you sell time to advertisers, to businesses, if you are an ad agency, if you're a copywriter, I don't care where you are in the chain, the most important part of the entire transaction between sales, selling the actual airtime to the business, whether it's radio, TV, web, print, I don't care, outdoor, it doesn't matter. The most important part of that transaction between sales and the prospective business, the business who is trying to advertise, who wants to get their message out, the most important part of that transaction is not the amount of money. It's not. I know if you're in sales, that may seem like a gear grinding statement to you, but it's not. The most important part of the transaction is the commercial, because if the commercial is not right, if the commercial does not entice people to come into the business or pick up the phone, go to the website, then this is all for naught. Remember the formula from episode number 2. It must get the audience to react and then act in that order. If you can get them to react and act in that order, you are home free. Without that, you are wasting your client's money, you're wasting your time, and you're also damaging the reputation of the medium that you are trying to sell. So the most important part of the transaction between the sales staff, the salesperson, and the business is the commercial. It's not the amount of money. Start off low, you get a commercial that works for them, and then guess what? They're going to spend more money with you later. All right, so you know what? Don't be afraid to take that small chunk of change. I've done it, and it's turned into more money for me. So if it can work for me and I'm not a salesperson, trust me, it can work for you. That's just my 2 cents. So let's define what you should be talking about in your commercial. If you are a business owner and you have money to spend on advertising, so I don't care if you are a business owner who sells shoelaces or aircraft carriers. I don't care. You got into business for one simple reason, because you saw a hole in the category, the business category, of which you're trying to serve. Maybe you were the first, or maybe you used to work for a company and decided, you know what, I can do this better. I'm going to split off. I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to do it better than these guys. Right? You obviously were trying to fill a hole or a void in the market. So that said, why would you try to do the same thing with your advertising and sound exactly like everybody else? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. The analogy I use is, if you were lost in a forest, would you dress up as a tree? No, you have to set yourself on fire, right? So let's use that analogy. Let's use that template, that construct, and go forward. So I want you to think about, if you're a business owner or if you're a salesperson who has a client who might not be so sure exactly what they want to talk about in their commercial, I want you to think about it from this angle. Try to summarize what your business does and write it on a Post-it note. And I'm not talking a big Post-it note. I'm talking one of those real little tiny Post-it notes. We serve the best pizza in town. We'll fix a flat tire within half an hour. Something like that. What we're doing with that exercise, when you write it down on a Post-it note, is we are boiling your message down to its most basic, simplest core element. What is that nugget? What is at the heart of your message? Why did you get into business in the first place? You got into business to fill a hole. What is that hole? Write it down on that Post-it note. That is what your commercial should be built around. That's what I call the Post-it note theory. So write down what your business does. If you had to leave a note for someone to talk about your business, what would you write? Would you talk about your friendly, knowledgeable staff or your 8 convenient locations? No. We serve the best meatloaf in Denver. It's really that simple. It really is. So use the Post-it note theory if you have any trouble writing commercial copy. Now, the question then becomes, okay, you're saying, well, okay, Tim, if I have 30 seconds to fill, or I have 60 seconds to fill, or I bought 15-second ads, or I bought an ad in a paper or on the web. I bought a web banner, or even worse, a Rovion, if you know what a Rovion is. For those of you who don't know, Rovion is if you go to a website and all of a sudden this little figure will pop out and like it's like a little movie that plays. And it's usually a woman. Hi, welcome to our website. This is the blah, blah, blah. That's called a Rovion. So use the Post-it note theory, the Post-it note guide, template, if you want to talk about that. So then you have your core nugget. So then you have to expand on that. And this is where a philosophy of mine comes into play. And we talk about what are known as the 2 B's. The 2 B's, and you want to definitely write these down. The first B is benefits. Benefits. What do I mean when I say benefits? What are we talking about? I'm not talking about health insurance. What I'm talking about is how your business, your product, your service is going to make the life of your targeted listener or viewer, the targeted consumer. How is it going to improve their life? How is it going to make it better? Why should they buy whatever it is you have to sell? For example, if you're selling tires, for instance, and let's say somebody walks into your store and you say, well, we have this and this and this. And somebody says, well, why shouldn't I just go over to, store B across the street? Well, all of a sudden, that's where your alternate advertising angle comes in. That's where what your Post-it note comes into play. What you wrote down. We do this. The other guys don't do this. Take what you have on your Post-it note, and that's going to give you the answer to that question. Why shouldn't I go to so-and-so? Well, that's why. So that's what I mean when I say benefits. How is it going to make the life of the targeted consumer better? So when you say, well, it'll do this and this and this and this, well, yeah, but those guys across the street will do that. Or those guys across the street don't do that. You've got them. You've hooked them, and you look like a superstar, and their willingness to buy immediately goes through the roof. Now, the other B, aside from benefits, is this. Believability. Believability. What do I mean when I say believability? Well, I heard an analogy recently, and somebody was talking about car ads. And they said, if Larry the Cable Guy was advertising the new Jaguar X Series, would you believe that? No. I mean, he probably does drive a Jaguar. I'm sure probably has one. But if Larry the Cable Guy was advertising for the new Ford F-150, yeah, I'd believe that. Makes sense? So they have to believe what you're saying, and that also goes a little deeper when you start talking about how is it that what am I trying to say here? Is the message, does it seem like it's true? Does it seem like it comes from the heart? You know, when you see, you know, like I said, Larry the Cable Guy, and if he was advertising for the new Ford F-150, you would believe it because you believe he would drive one of those trucks. Now, if you think you would fit into one of those trucks, okay, great. Then maybe the Ford F-150 is for you. It's not really for me, but maybe it's for you. So when I talk about believability, that also goes into recording your own commercials if you're a business owner, which is a very, very, very dangerous road to go down, and we will talk about that in a later episode. So again, tonight's lessons for you. The Post-it note theory, write down, if you had to write down exactly what it is your business does, or the main selling point of your business, what makes you unique. If you had to write that on a Post-it note, what would it be? That is how an easy way to get to the core of what your advertising message should be. The other lesson, the 2 B's, benefits and believability. The benefits, how is it, what your product or service is, how is it going to make the life of the consumer better? And believability. Do people believe what you're selling and what you're saying? Well, there's something for you to think about. Go back and review the advertising that you have on the air right now if you're in sales or if you're a business owner. Review it using those guidelines through that prism, and I guarantee you that your ads will probably change dramatically, and I hope they do, because if you do that, the odds of success have dramatically increased. So, thank you for watching, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and WordPress at Tim Burt Media. That's TimBurtMedia. Let's see, I have no questions. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and WordPress at Tim Burt Media. That's all you have to do. So if you have a question, you can certainly email me as well. timburtmedia@gmail.com. I would love to have a question to ask on the next episode. So if you have one, please feel free to send it my way. I'm Tim Burt, and of course this has been recorded so you can watch it later, and I thank you for watching, those of you who are watching live, and I will see you next Tuesday.